Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Indie Authors and Music. I'm so excited that you're here today because I have a really great guest. Her name is Dr. Margaret Pepper, and I got connected with Margaret through her sister Marion that I met when I lived in Biloxi, Mississippi. And I'm so glad we made that connection because you have a new book out, and I cannot wait to talk to you about all of the things to do with your new book. So, welcome to our program.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. It's certainly an honor and a privilege.
Well, thank you. We're excited to have you here. So, let's start out. So, tell us a little bit about you, about your life, and who you are.
Okay, I'll start with I am the 14th child out of 20 single births that my parents had during their 65-year marriage.
Wow. Wow.
That's a mouthful. I was fortunate enough to grow up on the Gulf Coast in Biloxi, Mississippi, and presently I live just right next door in Ocean Springs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're little coastal towns, and they're quaint and delightful.
I love Biloxi. I got the privilege to live there for 10 years and I absolutely love it. And there are things about Biloxi that I still miss, even though I'm now in Tennessee. So, how did you come to be an author? What triggered you to want to write this book?
Okay. So I will firstly say that this is my very first book, and I'm very proud of it. As you can imagine, growing up and having 19 brothers and sisters, it was kind of like growing up in a school classroom.
Yes.
I grew up in a crowd. And so there were always exciting things happening. Some of it was chaotic, but mostly it was fun and very, very typical family. Um, and as things would happen, we would always say, or someone would exclaim, "Oh, somebody needs to write that one down." And then we'd giggle. And so we grew up saying, somebody needs to write that down. Somebody needs to write a book. But while you're living it and you're growing up in it, well, obviously, nobody had a spare moment to write anything. And certainly not any of the adults, and certainly not the parents. And so as we've grown and have our own families, we still stay in touch and frequently get together. And so then we, rehash growing up and our childhood memories. And and then those conversations began to become more serious. Like, somebody really does need to write this. And this would be a wonderful book because you don't realize you're in such an unusual, rare setting as a child. It's the only thing you know.
Yes.
Um, but as an adult, then you mature to understand that, wow, this really was a one in a million situation. And, most people don't have all of these rich experiences. And at that point in my life, I was a retired school administrator, and I was happily taking care of grandbabies while my children were at work. And And so finally, after the sixth grandchild got started school, I finally experienced retirement and was twiddling my thumbs. And I do like to keep very busy. It's all I know. And so I decided, well, I need to be the person to write this book. It just felt obvious, and I felt like I was getting signs that you should attempt it. And so I began writing, and then 2 months into the book, I got a cancer diagnosis,
Oh my.
and so I thought that's what the message was. You need some project to keep you busy and to keep your mind off of chemo. And so I just continued the project and worked through everything successfully. And it took a couple of years to finish the book. And so I while my siblings were sending prayers and prayer chains globally, I felt like this was my way to give back to all of them.
Oh, wonderful. That is wonderful. Now, I know that you have a very rich history in education.
Mhm.
Your background is very rich in education, right?
Yes, yes. I had the privilege of watching several of my siblings become educators. And I would join in with them during the summers and help them set up their classrooms and just learned a lot from them, and was always so inspired by their enthusiasm to provide a valuable service to others. And being one of many, of course, I loved children. And so when I was in high school, I decided, oh, I'm definitely going to follow in their footsteps and become an educator. I got into special education and loved it, and taught all ages and grades for about 26 years. And then I branched off into school administration and really found a niche, because there I was able to make even more significant of a difference, because I was not just dealing directly with children, but I was dealing with their parents and with teachers,
Yes.
and could help teachers help children. And so I had a wonderful career and retired after 34 years.
That's wonderful. I want to say I'm so thankful that you have had the prayers and made it through the cancer. Um,
Yes.
Very thankful for that. And
Oh, yes.
I just love, and I know that this contribution is a blessing for your family, writing these stories, writing that book, even while you were going through cancer. Um,
Yes.
I mean, I think that's beautiful. And
Thank you.
I think it just speaks to your servant heart that you have and how you loved the children and how you loved, even in administration, being able to make a difference to
Yes.
the teachers, the parents, and the students. So
Yes.
um, I'm really, I think your family is blessed that you actually wrote the book and told the story. I think
Yeah.
everybody's going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think everybody's going to enjoy you doing that if they pick
Yes.
up the
They're
book.
very pleased. And It's obvious. And they're begging me to write a volume two. So
Okay.
we'll see
Uh,
what
we're going to
happens.
have a sequel. And I think not only the family will enjoy your writing and be blessed by it, but I think the readers that pick up the book and choose to read it with you will
Mhm.
be blessed and enjoy it also. I loved your prologue prologue in the beginning where you talk
Mhm.
about the Biloxi area. And you're very descriptive about the different things
Mhm.
that I grew to know and love just living in Biloxi for about 10 years. And I think the readers will really enjoy all of that throughout the book.
Good.
Just your description about the area and your family, everything, the stories. So you are um, connected still with your family, which I love. And tell us, I love the cover art for your
Okay.
book. So tell us about the cover art and how that came together.
Okay. Well, the 906 Club was how we referred to our home.
Okay.
We would teasingly call it a club, and 906 was our house numbers. So when we'd bump into one another out on the road or the street or at an event, a brother or sister would say, "Where are you going next?" And the response would be, "I'm going to the 906 Club." And so it was an inside joke, and it was also a term of endearment.
Yes.
And so one of the house sign, the house number sign, was an actual old post, and one of my brothers happened to cut out the wooden little plaque in his shop class, and he brought that home. And then another brother put the numbers on it, 906. And then they assembled the little tripod on the post. So it actually sat right inside our gate at the home in the front lawn. And so when I was in the process of publication, the publishers offered to design a cover for me, but I asked for permission to have one of my nieces do it. Her name is Jackie Baxter Roberts, and she has a master's degree in graphic art. So it was a no-brainer.
Yes.
And she also is my goddaughter. So I phoned her and asked her if she could do that. And of course, she did. She volunteered to do it. And so she communicated along with myself with Westbow Press, and she takes credit, and I give her full credit for the design of the book cover, and and I am just so very proud of the book cover. Perfect. There it is. That's the sign that stood up proudly in our front yard for many years.
It may show up backwards on this, but
Yeah.
I think it is absolutely beautiful. When I saw the cover, I'm like, oh my goodness, that is, and to know that it was someone of your family that's so closely connected to the story that actually
Mhm.
designed the cover, that just makes it even more special.
Oh, it does. It makes it rich for all of us. And I kept the title. And I kept a lot of secrets, I'll say, from my siblings. The process that I used, I had to think like a kindergarten teacher. What is going to be the easiest way to to compile the stories and it be logical, and how can I do it because there are so many characters in the
Yeah.
book. And so I had to keep the reader in mind. We don't want the reader to feel overwhelmed. So I solicited, announced to them that I was going to do this and solicited, send me text or emails or just call me up on the phone. I'll write it down. And we had regular little what we called family gatherings, and sometimes they'd be like at a restaurant and we'd just sit and visit and talk, and I would record conversations. And and so they frequently asked, well, what is the title? And I said, well, I have a couple of different titles in mind, but give me suggestions. And but every time we'd get together, what's the title? And that's how I'm not going to tell you. So I wouldn't tell them the title because I actually had picked out a different title. And then toward the last third of the book, as I was writing, I thought, oh, wait, that's the wrong title. And but I didn't tell anybody that. And I just recognized, no, that title is not going to work because really the book is about the 906 Club. And so when we did the book reveal with my family, they were all tickled pink that I had decided to use the 906 Club. So it was fun and funny.
I think that is perfect. And I bet they did too, because that just fits everyone. That it really
Yes.
speaks to everyone. So talk a little bit, because we have other authors that are involved with the podcast. Talk a little
Hmm.
bit about your process of writing the book. So you've decided, okay, I'm going
Hmm.
to be the one that tells this history. You
Right.
got your cancer diagnosis, so you know I'm going to involve myself in this while I'm going through this difficult
Chemo.
time, right? So
Hmm.
talk to us about that. What it kind
Okay.
of your,
So when I started writing the book, I decided right offhand that I would talk about each sibling separately. So everybody would get a chapter, and their chapter would be their number. Mine, Margaret, number 14. So again, keeping it simple, um, and and that would keep readers from being confused. If I talked about multiple people, constantly throughout the book, their minds would constantly be thinking, well, wait, is this one older than that one? And how does this work? So I kept us in order, number one. And then I decided I would weave mom and dad throughout all the chapters. And I thought that would be the best way to keep it simple. And then toward the end, then I talked about daddy and mama. And then by doing that, it kind of helped lace up those shoes and tie a little bow on the entire package so that all the little pieces eventually fell into place. And I did describe the Gulf Coast, and I wove faith throughout the book. I did not steep it in into theology and religion. I wanted the book to appeal to all audiences, but faith was a big part of our life. And faith is what got me through the book
yes.
because I believed that it was meant to be for me to write the book, not even knowing that I was going to be sick while I wrote it. But I had complete faith that I would come out in the end
Wow.
healthy, and I did.
Yes.
So that's how I organized it, and I would advise anybody to keep your book simple. I read a lot of books while I was writing it, and the books that appealed most to me were the ones that were simple. Um, I found myself, second guessing myself
Sure.
sometimes, and I would struggle with a few sentences, and I would think, oh, there's got to be a better way to write this sentence. And then one of my sisters said, read this book. All the sentences are very short, but the book is powerful. And I took her advice and I saw that book, which also was turned into a movie. And I thought, yeah, go back to your initial principle, keep it simple, pretend you're writing for children. And, you don't have to make it lengthy or flowery.
Right.
Just say what you need to say and move on. So I would advise anybody just keep it simple.
Okay. I love it. Now you are published with a publisher.
Mhm.
How did that come about?
Okay. So initially I had no idea of of how to get a book published. So again, I went to my niece, and she had worked for the University of Georgia, and so she was involved a lot in publication. So she said, okay, let's start with University Press. Obviously, she was familiar with it in Georgia. And so I went to Mississippi's University Press,
Okay.
and I got a wonderful response, which surprised me. And a team of editors, there were 10 editors, actually read my manuscript and met and talked about it, and then responded to me and said, we love it. We think it needs to be published. We think it's valuable. But ever since COVID, our budget no longer allows us to fund this type of book,
Mm.
and which makes sense for a university. It's about a large family, and it's faith based, and so they don't have a an urgent need for that at this point with funds being cut. So she sent me a list of four other publishers in Mississippi. So then I went to each of them, and one of them responded, "No, we only do suspense novels," and a couple never responded, and then another said they liked it, but they weren't interested.
Okay.
And so I got at least three no's and a couple of well maybes. And then my niece got hot on the trail again, and she said, let me do some research. So she came across Westbow, and they immediately jumped on it. So if it weren't for my niece, I'd probably still be searching. And she did remind me that there's several very famous authors out there. One in particular from Mississippi who got a whopping, I think, 69 no's before he ever got his first novel
Wow.
published. And I think almost all of his novels are movies as well.
Wow.
So, I kept comforting myself and I just kept typing at the computer meanwhile, and didn't even have a publisher, but it all worked out in the end.
That's wonderful. I love it. So you said you have some artifacts to share with us,
I
some
do,
things you can show us?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not sure
You're just going to
how.
take us along with you.
Okay. So I'm going to flip my phone and can you see this?
Yes, we sure can.
Okay. This was just before we went to New York City to be on a TV game show, which you'll read about in the book. And we were next door at a upscale furniture store, and they took photographs of us. This happens to be me.
Okay.
And at the time, mother and daddy only had 17 children.
Okay.
And so this is when we were loading up to get on the airplane. There were no jets in the 50s, and to go to New York City. And here is another view of us on loading onto the airplane.
Oh, how fun.
And here is my beautiful and handsome parents.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And my daughter-in-law was thoughtful enough to have a mug made for me.
That's wonderful. And the
And then
book.
I will show you another. This was in the front yard of the 906 Club, and they lined us up in order and took some photos. This was, as you can see, in the Saturday Evening Post
Yes.
back in 1958.
Uh-huh.
And this is us in the dining room of our house. The table was 10 foot long. You can see two babies in two high chairs, and this is 17 of us.
Tilt this around just a little bit. There you go. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
We were at church. This is Billy shining shoes on the back steps. Here, I think we're folding clothes. And then here, we bathing and brushing teeth were group activities
It
back
would
in.
have to be. It
But
would
anyway,
be.
that's a few of the things that remind us of growing up in the 906 Club.
So, was there a time? Well, I guess there had to be a time because there were a number of you. Was there a time when the whole family was at home, or were some of the older ones out by the time the
That's a
young?
great question. Actually, there was never a time when all 20 of us.
Wow.
By the time, I think 17 was the maximum,
Okay.
because shortly thereafter, the older ones, were getting married and having their own families. In fact, there are a few of my nieces and nephews who are older than some of my siblings.
Sure, because the time span, I can understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, oh, I was going to ask you a question. Now it flipped out of my mind. Oh, I know. So you said that you guys still get together, so everybody is pretty close around.
Yes. I do have a brother in Orlando, a sister in Fort Worth, another sister in Athens, Georgia, and a sister in Slidell, Louisiana. But the rest of us, one sister lives here in Ocean Springs with me. Um, and the rest of my siblings are all still in Biloxi. So
Okay.
we do get together, and here the last few years they've decided that they prefer to come visit at my house because I have a ground zero entry, which makes it easier for the older ones.
Yes, it would. And how big is your family now with having the 20 of you?
Well,
And now you have extended
right.
family. How big?
Yes. Um, I can give you close approximations. The last count I took while I was writing the book was 192.
Wow.
Yes,
What a
yes. So
family.
we're closing in on 200. Yeah.
That is so
And there are
amazing.
five generations, and we're not far away from I think some of us will see six generations in our lifetime.
Wow, that is so amazing. And the family is still close, loving each other, getting
Yes.
together. And I just love that. And I think people will love this book and the story behind it, the stories behind it. Um,
Yeah.
I,
The stories are rich. You will find yourself unexpectedly laughing out loud. Um, but then you'll need a Kleenex occasionally because
right.
some of the stories are rather poignant.
Well, I have so enjoyed talking to you, Margaret, and meeting you. I did you have a QR code that
I
you can
do,
show?
yeah.
If you would
I'll
show that.
show you. Yes.
Absolutely. This is an easy way for you to access the 906 Club. So you guys can scan that QR code. I suggest that you do. It's amazing. I have not finished the book, but what I have read is wonderful. And I think so many people will enjoy it. So, Margaret, thank you so much for coming
You're
on and
you're so
talking.
welcome. The book is available on Amazon
Okay.
and from Westbow Press. Also, if you would like to invite me to be your friend on Facebook or Instagram, you'll find a link to the book as well.
Awesome. And how do you prefer that people connect with you? Through a website, or would you rather, is there like a central place where they can kind of connect and then,
There isn't yet.
okay.
I'm new.
Yes.
I'm old and technology is new. So, as I'm in the process of
Okay.
trying to get those uh, bows tied.
Sure.
But you can find Margaret Pepper on Facebook and Margaret Pepper on Instagram.
Perfect. So I am excited that people can connect with you and that your book is out there, that you are looking at doing a sequel with some new stories for everyone. And
Yeah.
just thank you so much for coming on. I've certainly enjoyed meeting you for sure.
Thank you so much, Tammy. And I love that we have a common connection.
Me too. I absolutely do. You have a great day. Everyone, thank you for coming on and watching. If you like what you are hearing, please share, comment, ask questions. I'm sure Margaret would love to hear any questions that you have. You can come back on when you get the book and comment here and connect. So, thank you, everyone, for coming to Indie Authors and Music. And thank you again, Margaret.
It was a privilege.